Boom. We're rolling. Well, hey, I was thinking about who I could ask to introduce the speaker this morning as we were on the video, and then I selfishly just decided that I was going to do it. Though I know a number of guys on here could. Brennan and I, man, have really just become good friends over the last probably 6 months, even though we've known each other for a year or so now. And I think the session we went through in Journey last night aptly just set me up to introduce him this morning because we were going through living it out in the world. And man, if you want to find a good example here in our community in Tulsa of somebody who walks the walk and talks the talk, it's Brennan. And so grateful to have him this morning. And I know he would never say this, so I'm going to say it for him too. But all you guys who have been home for the last 2 months with nothing to spend your money on, FCA would be a great ministry for you to support. I came on Brennan's home team last fall, and what I love about it, man, is when you come on Brennan's home team, you are supporting so much more than just FCA in Tulsa. You're supporting Brennan's life that he lives out. He and his wife are very involved in foster care. They're very involved in the youth in our church. Brennan and I have done work with homeless people together. So you're supporting a kingdom lifestyle, and I'm certain he'd be grateful if any of you guys feel led to jump in and become a part of his support system when he's done today. But B, glad you're with us this morning, man. I'll let you take it away. Guys, just try to keep yourselves muted, and we'll jump back on when Brennan's done. Go ahead, bro.
Good morning. Hey, thanks so much, man. What an intro. I thought that I was probably going to get introduced by Hislop, but man, what a great intro. Thank you so much. As you can see, I'm joining you from the garage. My family is all still asleep, which is good. I think we'll see here in just a little bit if that still works out well, but man, what an honor to be here with you guys. Cade, man, you're one of a kind. I would tell you that there's a couple things I noticed. Cade and I have actually slept together, which sounds weird until you know the context, but we shared a room together at youth camp because all the students were in the next room over, and so we stayed in the same room together. So that was awesome. Got to know Cade really well, and I'm super proud to know him. And thank you for all your support for me and my family and FCA. And so I am married for 19 years, which has been an incredible journey. As we talk about journey, it hasn't always been incredible, but it always has been a journey, right? But thanks to God, he's changed my life, given me my family back, and then given me an opportunity to serve him. And I promised him that everywhere I went, that I would serve him with my whole heart and share what he's done in my life. And so that's why I get to stand before you today. I do have 7 children, which is why I'm in the garage, honestly. But I have a 6-month-old who's up right now. So you probably didn't want to hear her yelling and screaming. But I have a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, 5-year-old, 18-month-old, and a 7-month-old. So, man, it's always been a journey. We have done foster care for close to 10 years. We've had 26 children come through our home. And, man, we just always promised ourselves and promised the Lord that we would just love those kids as long as God gave them to us, and we would give them a safe place to be until their parents and families were able to reconnect with them and get their lives back in order. And several of them, we've created a relationship got asked by Chris to come on and talk about what the journey meant to me. And for the longest time, I had to think about what did that mean to me. And I thought, well, what's the best way to approach this? And so the first best way for me to approach this was just to look at what the journey means, the definition of journey. And so I looked it up, and it just says an act of traveling from one place to another. And I started thinking, what does that mean, traveling from one place to another? Because I think our lives are basically, either you could look at it as one point to another, which is from here to eternity, or you can look at it as a series of journeys where you're stopping at each destination, and then you're picking some people up and you're going on to the next location. I've always heard the African proverb of, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go together, if you want to go slow, go together. Something like that. I think I just messed that up, but it just always reminded me that we're always better together. And you may be able to go really, really fast and get somewhere alone. But what good is it to get somewhere and look back and there's nobody around you to celebrate that with, to walk through life with? And so as you go together, it may take a little bit longer. You may have to pick some people up. You may have to slow down and wait on some people, but it's always more rewarding to look around at your brothers and your sisters and your family and look back at them and say, we did it, we made it, and now we're going to go to the next place. And who can we help walk along with us to this next place? There it is. I see it go far together. And so it just reminded me, journey. And so I got asked a few years ago to be in the journey group by Chris Hislop. And I think when Chris Hislop basically recruits you, I think you're required to say yes. I'm still just waiting on the phone call to get recruited to go fishing. That's been a 6-year process. So we're still praying that God will put it on his heart to invite me to go fishing. But I was a little bit reluctant to get into the journey when I first started, just because of my schedule. My schedule doesn't allow me to be anywhere at the same time every week. And so it's really hard. Working for FCA, I'm over 120 schools in Northeast Oklahoma, and traveling around to those, providing resources and support and contacts and connections. And so it was really difficult for me to say, hey, I could be at Midtown on Tuesday at 11:30 every other week. And so reluctantly, I said, hey, I'll try to be there as much as I can. Well, what I came to soon realize is I don't do well with half-hearted commitments. I'm an all-in or all-out guy. And so I basically said, man, I'm going to make it a way. And so I started showing up, and this group was a little bit of a different group. Dustin Wright and Brett Caspon were helping lead it with Chris. And then Chris Kaiser was in there. Michael Smith was in there. Doc Geiger was in there. If you know Doc Geiger, you know it's a crazy group. He came dressed up every other week as an elf or a rabbit or something. And he was always telling us some poems. But the craziest part to me is that I just kept showing up, and I started reading the material, and I started getting involved. And I just started hearing the heart behind why we're trying to do a journey, why we're trying to get men together and have fellowship and have accountability and have somebody you can go lean on and trust in and pray for and be with. And I've just realized that it's easy to go somewhere alone. It's so much easier to say, hey, I want to go alone. It's way more difficult to try to do life together with other people, because we've all got issues. We've all got stuff. We've all got junk. We've all got things that hold us up. And so I started thinking about the relationship. I'm reading through the Bible, and I'm a few days behind on my chronological through a year. But I started reading in 1 Samuel 18. Right now, I just finished a book by Malcolm Gladwell called David and Goliath. And it's weird because as soon as I finished that, I was right in the middle of David and Goliath and the entire story of David and his life. And I came across Jonathan and David in 1 Samuel 18. I just want to read a little bit of that, and then I want to make an application for you. So in verse 1, it says, after David had finished talking with Saul, he met Jonathan, the king's son. There was an immediate bond between them, for Jonathan loved David. And I think we could all say, hey, there's been a time where I met a guy, I met a person, and there was just this immediate connection. We were instantly friends. There's something that drew us together. Maybe it was fishing, maybe it was hunting, maybe it was outdoors, maybe it was our families, maybe it was sports, whatever it is, that there was immediate connection. And then you just know. And when you know, you know. And so David and Jonathan had that. So from that day on, Saul kept David with him and wouldn't let him return home. And Jonathan made a solemn pact with David because he loved him as he loved himself. And I think the other thing, as we talk about journey and brothers, I think if I had to sum my word up about what the journey means to me is brothers. Um, and so you see that Jonathan says he loved him as himself. And I think if you talk about brothers and friendship and this entire thing about what the journey means to me and what the journey could mean to you, is that honestly, you can do this life alone, but it won't be very rewarding. And you won't be able to give the love away that you have to anybody else. And more importantly, when it says he loved him as he loved himself, that's sacrificial. It means he's giving something of himself to somebody else sacrificially. And that means he considers other people's opinions or other people's value or other people's worth as he considers his own. And so I, I thought, what was my favorite part of the journey as I went through it? And I didn't get to make any of the retreats. And so there wasn't that extra connection that I've seen happen with the retreats. And so that I felt like I missed out a little bit. And then our group kind of dwindled down until there was just this core group, which I think that's what you want, but I wish that would have been the way from the beginning. But the sweetest part of the entire thing was when I got this. And I'll just be honest with you, I haven't gotten any super glue, but my kids broke this shield off. And so my influencer name is Isa, and it means that God delivers. And I don't have time to get into all of my story, but God definitely delivered me from some things in my life that were not beneficial, that were selfish, that were destructive. God gave me my family back. I was on the verge of divorce, and I didn't know how to love my kids, didn't know how to love my wife, and God rescued me from that. And so when I see that God delivers, that Chris knew what I needed, and then I see in 1 Samuel 18, it says in verse 4, Jonathan sealed the pact by taking off his robe and giving it to David, together with his tunic, sword, bow, and belt. And I think the thing that stood out to me the most is on the final night when we all got together, the commencement, when I was given this character, and then I was asked to take off my shoes, and that wasn't weird to me at all. I know that that's weird for some people, but then my feet were washed, and then I see this story between Jonathan and David, who were incredible friends. And it says he sealed this pact by taking off his robe and giving it to David. And that immediately, as soon as I heard that, it made me go to Jesus at the Last Supper, when he took off his outer garment and he got down and he washed the disciples' feet. And what an act of love, what an act of surrender, what an act of humility to say, hey, I love you like I love myself, like Jonathan loved David, and I'm going to remove my garment and I'm going to get down on my hands and knees and I'm going to serve you and I'm going to wash your feet. And when I think about that, it really reminds me that this is so much bigger than each individual, that we're all together and we're better together. And even through social distancing and even through the quarantine, it's clear that we still desire and need a connection when there's 30, 40 people on this call that show up on a 6:30 on a Friday morning to say, hey, I need this. I need something to connect with my father. I need something to connect with my brothers. And this is not just about me. I want to go far together. And so to wrap all of that up, I think that the word that comes to my mind is brothers, and we're better together and we can do more together. And clearly we see that we need each other by everybody that's on this call together. And so thank you for allowing me to share. I mean, if you haven't been through the journey, which I'm sure probably everybody has, go through it. I know for myself, I need to go back through it just to get another pass. I guarantee you every time you go through it, it gives you that much more of a purpose, a understanding of what it's like to need brothers and to lean on brothers and to grow friends and to have people to lean on and to trust and to pray for and to do life together with. And so thank you so much for allowing me to share, man. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Man, thank you, Brennan. Golly, I think that goes right along with just what I was saying at the beginning, that if you have the chance to get your journey group back together in person, man, do it. Because, man, the journey, uh, it's not about a curriculum. It's about life on life and going vertical with other guys. And so well said this morning. Nothing else needs to be said there. That was perfect. Thanks, Brennan. Frank, is your audio working? You want to take us into prayer groups? Maybe not. Let me see if I can get Frank unmuted here. Hang with us, guys. There you are. Frank?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go, buddy. You got it.
Hey, Brandon, thanks for sharing your heart, dude. This guy right here, guys, if you don't know him, you need to get to know him because he's all heart. And you can see that, there's something really powerful about being on a journey with others. And I love what Brandon said about, you can always try to get somewhere by yourself, but it's probably a pretty miserable feeling if you do it. I think we've all tried to do that at one time. We're like, well, where's everybody else? And sometimes we even do that without our families, which should really break your hearts. Thanks for what you do, Brennan. Thanks for how you love on kids. It truly is amazing how so many kids are coming to know the love of Christ just because of you being obedient to who God's called you to be. So with that being said, you guys hear us say every Friday morning, I never get tired of repeating this, but some of you on this call this morning, you're really struggling. You're struggling with maybe some anxiety, maybe depression, especially with this season that we're in. And again, we get an opportunity to come together like this, and God's still on the throne. So if you're that guy this morning, Kate here in a second is going to send you to a breakout room, a prayer room. Don't click off. Don't jump off. Allow yourself to be in a room with whoever. And, man, share that burden. Share whatever you're going through and pray for one another because Scripture tells us to do so. And just lay it at the foot of the cross and let Christ carry you. Let his yoke be easy for you because that's what he does. But you got to be willing to take that step and say, God, here I am. I'm struggling. And be willing to share that with other guys, maybe even guys you don't know. So do that this morning. For those of you that are at the top of the world, that things are good, that's awesome. Then you have got a word to encourage a brother this morning. And do that. Don't click off and jump off. Be willing to encourage that guy on your breakout group who just needs a word of encouragement. So we love you guys. We're grateful for you. We'll be back on here next Friday. Have an awesome weekend and take some time now and pray with one another. God bless you.
Sweet. Don't drop off. I see some of y'all dropping off. You need the prayer. Hang on just a second here. Let me see. How many we got? 36. Let me bust you guys into some breakout rooms. Okay, guys, I'm fixing to send you into rooms. So if it's your first time on here, I'm going to hit this. You have to accept to go into your breakout room. If for some reason you get in a room by yourself, hop back out to the main session real quick, and I'll jump back out and join you, and I'll pray with you. But we should be good to go. We got 33 people still on here. About to send you guys into rooms with 3 or 4. Man, thanks for being on, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Go ahead and restart your video and audio, guys.
That's Nick, remember, the musician. Do you want to go to breakout room number 8, please?
brace and the torso are completely glued together. But I can't take the little legs off the yoga either. They're glued together. But they're really interesting because they're TV magnetic, like they're just magnetic minifigures. So again, not too expensive, but very, very rare figures. Very hard to come across these guys nowadays. So I'm getting to the actual top 10 of these minifigures in my rare minifigure collection. No.
Oh, Corbel.
Speedster.
What the heck?
No, ma'am.
Dang.
I'm Sam, and hey, Cade looks really good as Frank Cade, doesn't he?
Hey, hang on just 1 second. I'm getting texts from people that say, would you please turn our video back on?
It's usually them doing it to themselves. Cade.
I
It's
know
not
it is.
you.
It's the same thing that Lou has trouble with. Let me, I'll be back in just 1 second.
Okay.
Wes,
What's up, Cade?
hey, I just saw your text.
Yeah, it's there we go.
Boom. There you go. Sorry, man. I don't know what it is. Like, we unlock them all, and sometimes people are able to jump right back on it. And then, but Lou has trouble every single week. So, like, I don't know what it is, but you're good to go now.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
See you guys. Glad y'all are on this morning.
Hey, Cade.